Welcome, everyone. My name is Stephanie Ivick. I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at eLB Learning, formerly known as eLearning Brothers. Today, we have a great session on how to build a Jeopardy game, but first, I'll go over a few housekeeping items. This session is being recorded. You'll receive a copy of the recording via email tomorrow. You can keep an eye on your inbox for that. Closed captions are enabled. You can turn those on for yourself using the live transcript button at the bottom of your Zoom window. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A panel to submit those. We'll take all of those at the end, and Jake will answer everything you've ever wanted to know about Jeopardy. We also have a live chat, so feel free to say hello, tell us where you're tuning in from, let us know how the presentation is going. Today we have Jake Kwiatkowski, product expert for the Training Arcade, and he is going to show you how to build a Jeopardy game. So without further ado, Jake, I'll let you kick everything off.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. And hello, everybody, and welcome to this game building webinar specifically centered around Jeopardy. As Stephanie said, my name is Jake. I am with the game agency, which is the game division of eLB Learning. And I am a product expert on the Training Arcade. And unofficially, I am the resident Jeopardy nerd here at eLB Learning. Before joining eLB about 2 years ago, I was the sales director for Geeks Who Drink Pub Quizzes. Perhaps if you've ever been to a pub quiz throughout the United States or Canada, you've run into it. So I love trivia. I love Jeopardy. I love asking questions. So I am really excited to be here with you all today and show you just how easy it is to build a game in the Training Arcade. So without further ado, let's take it away. So first of all, I want to spend just a couple of minutes of talking about why Jeopardy is so great. And yes, I'm a little biased towards it, as I just mentioned, but it's true. When it comes to writing quiz clues or this type of format, Jeopardy really is top dog in what's going on here. We always try to emulate Jeopardy's voice. They've created a very unique stylistic voice that makes it beloved by millions of people around the world, and particularly in the United States. So I like to think of this when I'm writing Jeopardy clues, and this is from one of the head co-writers of Jeopardy. He was interviewed in Popular Mechanics a few years ago. He said that a good Jeopardy clue has to elicit one of 3 reactions. I knew that. Darn, I should have known that. Or I didn't know that, but now I'm glad I do. So you don't want to try, Jeopardy tries to not write clues that nobody knows, right? Like I have no idea what the answer to that is. I think it's impossible to make every clue completely accessible to a ton of people. However, the way Jeopardy goes through it, you cannot actually know the answer to the clues and still answer correctly based on other bits of information that are in the clue. Last disclaimer here, I am not an instructional designer. As I just said, I am a trivia Jeopardy fan and nerd and have been immersed in this world for a long time. So if you are interested in more of the finer points of the philosophy of Jeopardy and why it is such a great learning tool and what it can do for your training and learning regimens, at the end of this presentation, I have a couple of links to share with you all. And one is specifically an interview with some of the producers and writers of Jeopardy with one of our managing partners, Richard. There's a ton of really great information in there, and they really dig deep into the philosophy of writing good Jeopardy clues and why it is so great. Today, we are going to focus more on the practicality of building a game in the Training Arcade and to show you just how easy it actually is. One other thing that I would like to say about Jeopardy before we dive in is Jeopardy is instantly recognizable, particularly in the United States. It's been just a huge part of our culture for decades at this point. And what makes it so great and engaging as a training game is just that. Everyone's familiar with it. You likely are not going to need to really explain the rules of Jeopardy to people. They'll dive in and know what's happening. And on top of that, there is a personal connection to Jeopardy for a lot of folks, myself included. I grew up watching Jeopardy with my grandmother and my grandparents, and then my family. And now I watch it with my partner every night. tuning in 7:30 on the East Coast. I don't know what time Jeopardy is for the rest of you. It's kind of this wonderful little half hour to sit down and answer some clues with Alec, but now Ken. And just, yeah, have a great time, test your knowledge, and you really can harness that as a trainer. So I love Jeopardy. That's apparent. Hopefully you all do too. And we're going to go through a couple of slides first about just some of the nuances of writing Jeopardy clues in the style of the game, because this is an official license. We are the only officially licensed Jeopardy game for training that exists. So the guidelines and rules that we're about to go through really quickly, these were laid down by Sony, and it is meant to make sure that you are creating the most Jeopardy-esque experience that you can for your learners or participants or whoever that may be. So, couple general rules to follow. Jeopardy is written in all caps. There you go. And don't forget the exclamation point at the end of Jeopardy. That signifies that we're talking about the show, not the word itself. And also, we'll get into this a little further down the line, but when you are writing clues, do not use question marks. That is not this Jeopardy style. You'd be asking trivia questions then, and you would not be asking Jeopardy clues. The opening phrase. So this is what makes Jeopardy so, unique, and one of its timeless things is what is, who is, what are, etc., etc. So we will get to all of this in the back end, and you'll see what I mean. But you got to make sure that you have the opening phrase, because we know in the actual show, if you don't say what is, who is, etc., you're wrong. You did not answer the question correctly. All right, the clues themselves. So this is another stylistic thing that makes Jeopardy, is writing all of the clues in caps. It seems really loud and it looks really loud when maybe you're looking at it on a slide deck, but when translated into our back end, into the actual game template, it looks natural, it looks and smells and feels just like the show. And again, it's Comedy Central, if you're all wondering the answer to that clue. The one time where it might not be capitalized is in this instance here, like the 1980s, the S would not be capitalized. So there are, I think, just those few instances of not needing capitalization in your Jeopardy clue. Otherwise, make sure it is capitalized. One more time, don't end in any punctuation, periods, etc. You can put in commas, etc. in the clue. Just don't have any punctuation that ends the clue. And last, any TV shows, movies, songs, and albums, or anything, of that nature needs to go in quotation marks: The Simpsons, Abbey Road, Seinfeld, works of Shakespeare, etc. Responses, same thing. When you are creating the responses, we're clearly talking about shows from my childhood here in the early noughts. One Tree Hill, Buffy, those things also need to be in quotations as well to signify that they are in fact a show or a work of art. And then the last thing I'll touch on, and we will dig a lot deeper into this, is one of the great things about our Jeopardy platform are all the analytics. It captures instant information and data on accuracy, attempts, time duration. This is by player, by game. You can cut this any way you want, and all of this information can be downloaded in Excel, SCORM formats. There's a million and one ways that you can look at this and see, okay, so this clue here, right, had a 40% accuracy. Maybe that's too hard. So maybe I want to go back and change that. This had a 94% accuracy. Maybe that's a little too easy. I want to make it more difficult. So all of this information is gathered instantly and available to you as the trainer to make your training more effective and engaging for your learners. Okay, so those are some super crash course rules on writing a Jeopardy and the Jeopardy style and some of the things that it offers. Now let's dig into building a game. Okay. So this is the back end of the training arcade. If some of you are familiar, if you are not familiar, this is the back end of the training arcade. So this is where all of your games exist in our game building tool. And I have right here, we hold a game every Friday. That's a learning and development meetup. More on that later. And this is where all those games live. So even here, you can see in the menu, I can see how many sessions of the game were played, the players, the accuracy, just some super quick information if I want to see, okay, hey, this one might have been a little too hard. Maybe that one was a little too easy. This is available to you right on the game menu screen. Now, let's build a game. So I'm going to click here and go to New Game. And I have the full game menu here. I'm going to click on Jeopardy. And here we are. So in the training arcade, all of our games, this main info screen, as it were, it all looks basically the same. So from any of our 10 games, they're going to collect roughly all of this information. And let's start at the top. Game type, Jeopardy. We built that. Great. Game mode. So I'm going to start off in single player, which means I can play by myself on my own time. And that's how I build these games, to test them out and make sure they look good and I didn't make any mistakes. Instructor Led is one of our really great formats where somebody can lead you through the game. So I may be sitting here, I share out a URL to all of you, you open the URL, and I control the board and guide you through it. It's good for engaging teams, it's good for interaction with your coworkers, and it is also good because you can provide even more live feedback on the clues and answers, in addition to what's already built into the game, and we'll get there in a second. But for right now, we're going to keep it on single player, excuse me. And then we got to name our game. Jeopardy Test Game for Webinar. Now, you'll notice that as soon as I click off of this text entry, the URL down here auto-populates with the name of the game that I just played, or I just created. So this is one of the easiest ways to share Jeopardy or any of our games with your learners, is this simple URL. I would also like to note that the entire training arcade is web-based. It is not an application. There's no need to download anything to play any of our games, and our games can be played on any sort of device as long as it has an internet connection, mobile, iPads, computers, etc. So I have the name of the game and it auto-populates here. If I wanted to change this URL for any reason to that, I can. And if the URL is already in use, it will tell you so. Default language. So we have 17 different languages right now based in the training arcade. Now, disclaimer, what this does is it does not auto-translate the clues. What it does is it translates the instructions on the game. All of our games have this capability, and we have been working on auto-translate tools, but for the purpose of this, we're going to stick in English for the moment. And again, that is for the game instructions and the user interface. Tags. So this is a way to organize your information. So on that big main screen, maybe you saw I had a lot of lunch and learns, right? There were 40 of them. So maybe I want to distinguish them with specific tags, or if I want to have all my HR games in one category, all my marketing games in one category, yada, yada. Those tags are available for you to use just to help you organize your back end. Company logo. So you can upload a logo, your company logo, or whatever image you want to add into the Jeopardy home screen here to make it feel more like something from your company. In terms of customizing the look of the game, Jeopardy is our least customizable in that aspect because it's Jeopardy. The IP belongs to Sony. We don't have the rights or really want to change it because we want everyone to notice that great Jeopardy IP. Most of our other games, there is a little more leeway on the actual look of the game to your learners, but the materials that you use is all totally and completely customizable. So you can do that. Game settings. All right, so now we're getting to some more Jeopardy specific stuff. So there is a timer for all questions. On the show, I believe it's 10 seconds. And I do believe you should be under a little bit of pressure to answer the clue. And if you don't want that to be the case, you don't have to. So you don't need a timer, but we're going to. So 60 seconds, it's a long time. Normally when I am building a game that's kind of for fun or a team building thing, 20 seconds is good. 20 to 30 seconds per clue is a good medium mark to hit. Percent of questions answered correctly required to pass. Self-explanatory. And also for more fun games, I put it at 0. You know, your job is not depending on this. We're not technically testing you on things. We just want you to have a good time. But say you've got some pharma reps who are selling new medications, we probably want them to score a little higher than a 0 and pass the quiz. So that is up to you. Whatever percentage of questions answered you want them to pass, voila. Game limits. We're excited about this. So you can set your game start date and end date if you want it. Hey, the game is open for this specific amount of time on these days as a knowledge check. Or if you want to use a game as, say, motivation for a sales team, let's go back to the pharma rep. You know, hey, whoever scores the highest on this Jeopardy game in this couple of hours wins extra coffee or wins a few days off, whatever the case may be, right? Because we know rewards can definitely motivate our learners and further engage them. So if I want to have the game available only from May 12th at 10 a.m., look at that, 10:15 a.m., down to the 13th at, say, 5:25, I can do that. That is all customizable up to you. For this, we're going to keep it open-ended. And then these learn more buttons, that's at the end of the game. You'll see the learners have an opportunity to learn, or if you want to add more information in, you can add a simple URL in to give them, send them further places. Now, this is a Jeopardy specific thing. Allow no response. So one of the strategies of Jeopardy is not answer, because if you answer and get it incorrect, you lose the points. That's the name of the game. So if you want your players to have the ability to play the game in a true Jeopardy fashion, you should allow no response. Yes, I want to allow them to not answer. But if you really want them to interact with the material and you are testing them on this knowledge, hey, I need you to answer these clues to make sure it's locked in, you retain the information, then say no, they have to answer something. All right, the information pop-up. This is exactly as it sounds at the beginning of the game. There's a little pop-up that is optional, don't need to have it, but you can just type something in. Play this game to test your knowledge. Just to give a little context to your learners or players, like, hey, what is this game? Why are we here? What are we trying to achieve by it, etc. All right, user registration. We're almost done with the actual foundation of the game. We'll get to the clues momentarily. So the authorization type, if you want, you can have an authorized player list. You can have single sign-on. You can have no authorization, so folks can just join through that URL. Entirely up to you. Again, I'm going to leave it at no authorization. And then require user registration, yes or no. If I click yes, all of this good information pops up. You can collect any sort of information that you want. And if you want to add in custom fields, you can make them text or drop-down items. Your existing fields are saved. If I want to add, let's say we want people to add their company to the registration form, there it is. And that's all customizable up to you and your needs as well. Okay, so I'm going to turn off no for this, just for the sake of this game. Now I think we're ready to rock. So we've got our foundation laid down. Okay, I've got all that good stuff out of the way. I am going to hit save. Whoa, I forgot something. I love this. So if you forget to add something that's necessary, it'll tell you, won't let you save, and it'll scoot you right down to wherever it is that you forgot to add. So I forgot show the leaderboard. I always like to show the leaderboard. Once the game is over, show where you're at, how you scored against other people. Let's turn that on. Click save one more time. Voila. All right. Now we're ready to build a game. So if you'll notice, up at the top, before I hit save, there was just game info. But now you can see questions and publish. So this gives you means to share the game. Here's that URL, your score and packaging in the 3rd or 1.2 editions. You can embed the game into an LMS a million and one ways. Anytime you want to share this game, it's a piece of cake. You can do it just like that. But we're here to build questions and clues. So here we are, the Jeopardy round. We've got Double Jeopardy and Final Jeopardy. You will notice that Double Jeopardy is automatically disabled. Double Jeopardy can lead to games can become longer, right? So Jeopardy does, my lord, 70 or 80 clues in a game in half an hour, which I love and is awesome, but you just might not need that amount of time, or you might not have that amount of time. But if you want to have a double Jeopardy round on top of Jeopardy, it's as easy as a click of a button. All right. So first we start with the Jeopardy round. And here we go. The game starts off as a 2x2, and you can have up to a 6x5, which is the size of an official Jeopardy board. So just click add categories as up to 6, as I said. And then, oh shoot, I added one too many. I can just delete the category. Yes. Yes. And the game we're building today has 4 categories and 3 clues per category. So I'm going to go up here, tiles per category, add 3, and voila, our third clue is populated. So that's that. Now we really have ourselves set up. We're ready to just drop and plug in information into our Jeopardy game and start building. So we're going to move over to this tab. Here's our Jeopardy game. So this is an actual game that Sony sent us. So Sony wrote these clues, and they were aired on actual Jeopardy shows in the last years. So sorry, you're not going to get a leg up if you're watching today or tomorrow or even next month. But these are Jeopardy clues written by Sony. This is the real deal. This template, I have a copy of it. And at the end and after this webinar, we can email it to you, because I find this is the easiest way to write clues is on a Word doc. And it adds for collaboration. It's just easier to write and look at all these things and on one big piece, as opposed to writing it kind of clue by clue, right? So here's the game. Here's my category in the state capital. Here's the clue itself. Notice it's in all caps. Here is the question word. What is? The correct answer in red is Honolulu. And then here are the missed clues. Talk about that in a second. And here's the correct feedback. We'll talk about that in a second too. But that's it. Here's the basic how I would write and set up a clue. Then I have them in the different categories, in the different amounts. Here's my final Jeopardy. Voila. In terms of how long does it take to build these games, this takes the longest, clearly. Getting your materials ready in, tip-top shape for your learners or for your event. But once you have Jeopardy clues written down, you can keep them also in a repository, use them again, and once they're in a game, they're super easy to update and change as needed. All right, so now we're going to do some good old-fashioned copy and pasting. So I have in the state capital is my first category. Category 1, here's the name. Voila, in the state capital. So let's get into the clue. The first thing you'll see is question type. For Jeopardy, there are only 2 question types. If you want more question types in kind of a trivia Jeopardy-esque style, we do have a game called Trivia that has things like polling, multi-select, just different formats for questions. However, once again, Jeopardy and the IP and the way the game is built, it's multiple choice or text input. So we'll start with multiple choice. You will then see that there is the option to add an image or a video. So this is a great way to kind of prime up your learners or give them a hint to the clue. Say you want to put an image of, let's see what I got here. Yeah, okay. So I was building a game on Oscar winners last week, and this is a visual clue I had for the movie Coda, which just won an Oscar and is about a child of deaf adults, and they use sign language, and they all have the I love you sign. They use it heavily in the film. So this is a hint to the learners. For training reasons, you could also have, say, just graphs and charts and say, hey, you looked at this chart, now answer a clue on it, or hey, you looked at that picture, now answer this. Another way just to engage your learners. You can also add in a video if you want to as well. So that is something you can do. And now here is the meat of it all, the clue text. So I'm going to go back to my handy dandy sheet. I'm going to copy and paste the clue, paste it in, and that's it. Now, next we'll see, use a timer for this question. Since on the main page, we go back here, I have default time for all questions, 20 seconds. it translated over. If for whatever reason, say, I know this question on Honolulu is really hard, right? Like I want to give my learners just a little more time on it, let's say, you can do that. That is customizable per clue. Like I said, 20 to 30 seconds per clue is usually a pretty good time. All right, opening phrase, the all-important opening phrase is next. For this instance, it is what is, and then we get to the possible answers. So just pro tip, one thing I like to do is I just kind of copy and paste all 4 of them at once, throw them in here. And we have 4 different answers. So I'm going to want to add 4 different choices. You have to have at least 2 choices to be multiple choice, go figure. And then I'm going to copy and paste these into the different choices. All right. Now I need to choose the correct one. Honolulu it is. Now another thing you'll notice is these randomized choices here. So if you are playing a single player game, having this check doesn't really matter. The choices will just show up in a random way to the learner to pick. However, if you're doing an instructor-led training, right, I highly recommend turning this off. So that means that these look the same to everybody. Because if I'm saying Honolulu, Salem, Olympia, Tallahassee, and on your screen it goes Salem, Tallahassee, Honolulu, Olympia, it's just confusing, right? It just adds to some confusion. So easily clicking that off, I highly recommend for instructor-led training. Great, Honolulu is the right answer. We've got our missed clues. Now, here's where we get to the good stuff, the feedback. So this is also a unique and powerful aspect of our version of Jeopardy in the Training Arcade, is the ability to give instant feedback to your learners based on their answer. So if I go back to my game, I have my feedback right here, and I'm going to copy and paste it in. Also note here, it is optional. The game will work just fine if you don't add any feedback. I highly recommend you do though, even for just a game of fun, just adding some more like kind of fun facts in and stuff of that nature can be really helpful to re-engaging your learners and just making the information stick more, that sticky learning that we're after. I, in this instance, have the same feedback for correct and incorrect. But clearly you'll notice that if you want to add in different feedback for an answer that is incorrect, you have the ability to do so. And the last thing that you can do with building a single clue, we're just on 1 clue now, look at all this really awesome stuff that you can customize per clue, is what we call advanced feedback. And this is another instance to add in an interstitial and engage your learners, reinforce that material, and make it stick. And here we go. So first you'll pick the slide layout, numerous different things you can do. Add an image. Let's see, what do I got here? Okay, so this is from another game. It was on Greek mythology, and the answer was Hades. So I have this clue of Hades and Cerberus is sitting in Hades, right? So I can add Greek god of death and the underworld. Maybe not death. Sorry, don't quote me. I'm always a little rusty on some of my Greek mythology. But so if you want to answer, this clue and then have more information after the fact, you can realign it. You can add a video to this. Just another great way to engage your learners and make that information stick. And also you can have as many advanced feedback slides as you want. So that's really cool. Okay, excellent. So we just built our first clue. Sweet. I know I went through it step by step very much. Once you do about a dozen of these, it becomes second nature. And the other thing is too, I'd like to point out, is any game that you build, you can copy it. So if you know, like, hey, I want to build a 4x3 game and I want them to be multiple choices and unrandomized, et cetera, you do not have to go through building this from the ground up every single time. You can copy the game. Your materials will still be in there. So, do take note to make sure that the materials have been swapped out and changed. But that is a way to save time once you've built kind of like templates of games that you're going to use often. I do that frequently. Another great thing is save draft. So if I click save here, just save, it's going to be very angry because I haven't filled in a lot of this different information. It's like, hey, I can't save this for deployment because the game's not finished. But say I got to hop to a meeting, I just can't build this game right now. I can click save draft and it's going to save my place where I am. All right. So we built a multiple choice clue. Let's build a text input clue now. Where is one? Here we go. All right. So this category is magnets. How do they work? So here's magnets. I'm going to go down to the second clue. Instead of multiple choice, I'm going to click text input. Then I'm going to go to this and copy my information. Paste it in. Voila, there it is. Go to the opening phrase. We've got what is. We have our 20-second timer done here. Lovely. And now you will notice that this, since it's text input, the answers look a little different from, let's go back to our multiple choice ones where you choose the correct answer. We got to put a little more information. We got to help it out just a little bit more. So first of all, we want to give the exact answer. What do we exactly want folks to say? The answer is compass. Now, though, maybe they say something like a compass, the compass, my compass, your compass. They're still correct, right? But it's not exactly correct. So what you can do is contains. As long as their answer contains the word compass, it's going to be listed as correct. You can also have unlimited permutations of this. If you want to accept an answer that just starts with COM and be super merciful, you can do that. And then it'll fill in the rest of the answer for you. And all of these good things. I usually stick to exact and contains. It helps with the learners a lot. But like I said, you can add as many different permutations from a text input clue as you want to. Great. So there's that. We got exact, compass, contains compass. I don't really know how many other ways you want to say that. Then we have our feedback. Put that in. Voila. Okay. So now that we've done a text clue and a multiple choice clue, we do that 20 some odd more times, and then we have our game. Final Jeopardy is the same exact format. There's no difference to how a Final Jeopardy clue looks from anything else. But you don't want to sit here and watch me build an entire Jeopardy game, right? We got things to do. So, a la the magic of a cooking show, look at this. The game's done. We have it built and all ready to rock for everybody here. So here are all our clues, magnets. Here's the rest of them. Look, here's our fancy compass one. Here is our Honolulu question. And then if I go to Final Jeopardy right here, you'll see that the question was on Milan was the correct answer. And I found this image of Milan to help someone. Maybe you know that's Milan, maybe you don't, but still puts learners in the mood of what they're trying to answer and also helps give them a little hint to it. Let's play a little bit, right? Cool. So we've seen the back end. Let's see what this looks like now on the front end. So right here, I can click play game. Actually, is it in? It is, great. Okay. So I click play game. Opens up just here in the web browser. And listen to that beautiful Jeopardy music. That puts learners right in the mood. They know they're answering some Jeopardy, and they are ready to go. So first thing that's going to come up is our information pop-up. Voila, there it is. And this is, like I said, one of our L&D professional meetup series, which is every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern, meaning tomorrow. And actually, we usually have a host, Mark, who is there, but I'll be hosting the game tomorrow. So we'll also be dropping that link after the fact. We do this every Friday. It's just a fun time to get together and have some laughs, play some clues, and meet other L&D professionals. All right, now I want to register. We're asking for this information in this game. So I'm going to submit. We're going to start the game. All right. Thank you, Johnny. Voila. Here is the finished product. So we've got our categories. So let me mute this real quick. We've got our categories and the amounts and our total. So since I'm playing this game by myself, I am in control of the board. If we were doing an instructor-led game, I would still see everything that's going on, except that somebody else would be leading us through the game. Like, hey, I want to pick magnets for 200. It would still pop up, but I just don't control the board itself. In this instance, I do. So in the state capital, let's go to our question. Click on it. It pops up. Duke Kanahanamoka Beach. Okay, which state capital is that? Here is my clue, or my question word rather, excuse me. And down here is that time ticking away on me. There's my 20 seconds going away. And it's Honolulu. Yes, we got it right. So I got it correct. And then instantly this feedback pops up to reinforce the answer, reinforce what's going on. And then if there was an advanced feedback slide, like I said, if I click next, that would show up next. Just don't have one right here in this particular game. Click next, back to the board we go. I'm going to do magnets for 400. You can magnetize a needle and place it on a cork in a bowl of water to make one of these. And here's our text input. So we know the answer is compass, but I want to write that compass I own. It's still correct because compass was contained in the answer. So the algorithm worked for us, gave me a correct answer, even though I didn't exactly have what we were looking for. Again, that is all customizable and up to you on your end. Here's our feedback. Click next. Let's do one more clue. Let's do pop music. Come on, let's go, magnets and state capitals. Let's do something a little more fun. For $200, The Hive was buzzing in 2019 when she released her live album, Homecoming. Okay, so The Hive was buzzing, and I know that one of these people has the word "bee" kind of associated with them. You're all screaming at me. It's Beyonce. I know. Beyonce is the correct answer. Excellent. Here's our feedback. Back to the board. And that's playing a Jeopardy game single player. Pretty self-explanatory and gets your learners engaged. And you are collecting all of the information that I am giving to this program right now. And here's how that looks. Here is a very tried and true game with the analytics. So up at the top, you'll see overall player trends, the amount, average score, sessions, completed sessions, the average duration spent, and the accuracy of the game. You can cut this data any way you want. And then, of course, you can download this information into an Excel file to further dig into. And if we go here, you have individual player stats. So average duration, sessions, etc. So we have the overall trends. Now we have them by player. And this is what I really wanted to show you that's really cool about games and this data that we're collecting is the knowledge lift that people experience when they play this stuff. So look at CQ here. Their first time they play, they got a 20%. That's not great. That's really not great. 60%, that is a huge improvement. I still think we could do better. The third time they played, they got a 90%. So this is a great way if people want to go back, re-engage with materials, retest themselves, and try and figure out new ways of reaching that information. It encourages that. Or, like we showed again, if you want to set session limits so that people can only play a game once or twice to see how they do, you can do that as well. And then we also have the per question. You can see, you can sort them by most accurate and least accurate. So this is one of our trivia games. So that's why there are question words and question marks in them. If this was Jeopardy, that would be a no-no. You don't do that. But this one, which of these states do not have an income tax? Oof, a lot of people don't know that answer. So if I was a trainer, I might want to go back and go, okay, why do people not know that? Maybe I should focus in on that on my next lesson, ask some more questions about it, et cetera, et cetera. And there you go. That's building a Jeopardy game. That is collecting all of the data that you could possibly want to improve the experience for the learners and get them to re-engage or engage with your learning materials. And also have some fun at the same time when you are answering these clues. And I really will say that having this game look and feel so much like the real Jeopardy. I grew up playing plenty of PowerPoint Jeopardies, and all power to you. There's something to be said for the real thing and having the music, the IP, all of that good stuff. So thank you for paying attention. I know I went by that super step by step. So Stephanie, Jen, if anybody has any questions we want answered, et cetera, I would be happy to do so.
All right, thank you, Jake. That was awesome. We do have a couple questions.
Great.
Could you go back and show us all the different options for the type your own answer, the contains, and how you handle potential misspellings and stuff. We had a couple questions about that. So if you could just show that again, that would be great.
You got it. So there's one approach to take that I usually take when it comes to these fun games is I say spelling counts. So spelling matters, right? So if you want to be unmerciful like I am sometimes, if someone says, hey, I misspelled it, then I'd go, it's incorrect. If you misspell it on the Jeopardy game, you're wrong, right? But maybe we don't want to be so steadfast. So you can also account for, say, common misspellings. So here's one I actually had I was talking about earlier. I have a game about rock and roll. And one of the answers is Jimi Hendrix. How many ways can you think of spelling Jimi Hendrix? There's just one, mind you, but there are a ton of them. So this is how we spell his name, Jimi Hendrix. That's how he goes. So if I want to say Hendrix instead, because maybe someone has that, or they put Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimi Hendrix, etc. You kind of have to, there is a little bit of trying to preemptively figure out how something could be misspelled. Also, some of these clues just become too much of a pain to be a text input. I was building this rock and roll game, so this is why this is on my mind, but I had a clue about Run DMC. So that's how you actually spell Run DMC, but it could be this, it could be, that, you see. So there are some instances where like, okay, hey, maybe it's just not the best place for a text clue. But honestly, I think just kind of preemptively trying to figure out what might they misspell it as is the best way to go. Also, contains can alleviate a lot of that stress. If you have just exact answers, it's kind of constricting. Like I said, for the compass, my compass, that compass, the compass I grew up with, the one sitting over there, right? What we really want to dig at is that they know it's compass. That's the right answer. So I hope I answered your question, but in short, sometimes people misspell a word and it's not correct. So
spelling matters.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I think that answers. And we had a good comment from the audience. Melanie pointed out that a lot of misspellings, some of them can be country-based, like theater is spelled one way in the US, differently in different countries with word gray,
yep.
Organization. So those are a lot of things to be aware of. If you know that your learners are global, you would want to go in and put both of those options as answers.
That is a great point.
So a question, can colors and other style elements be changed?
Not in Jeopardy, no.
Crush those dreams right there, Jake.
Sorry, no.
But in some of the other games, yes.
Yes, in our trivia game that I keep mentioning, yes, there's far more room for customization for colors, themes, et cetera, et cetera. But for Jeopardy, Jeopardy is Jeopardy. And that comes from on high up to Sony, so.
And Wheel of Fortune would also be the same.
That is correct, yes. So we do also have a Wheel of Fortune license, and what Stephanie said, that is, that's pretty much set in stone as well.
Yes. But I mean, you want your learners to know that they're playing Jeopardy. You want that feel. You want them to truly feel like they're on the game show. And if you change it to pink, they're not going to feel like they're playing Jeopardy.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. One more question. Could you show us how to do the instructor led view?
Aha. Yes. I was curious if someone was going to ask that. So we totally can. So let's do this. Okay. So first of all, this is another great feature. Is you can easily switch back and forth from single player to instructor led with a click of a button, and there's no need to update anything else, right? So I click instructor led, I click save. It's got to, wheel and turn here for a second to put itself in the right mode, the right mood, whichever it might be. And then you may have noticed that over here on my admin side, this little instructor one popped up. So I'm gonna click that. And you'll see that we've already done this. So Mark, that guy I was talking about, who hosts a lot of our games, our live games, He tested this. This was the game that we played last week on Friday, and here's the actual session. So I want to add a new one. New session. All right. So we have virtual and in-person mode. So virtual would be like for now, where we're all sitting on Zoom, we're not sitting together. That's virtual mode. In-person mode, the difference from that is when if someone is in person leading you through the game, sometimes the information on the screen that the learners are looked at, like the clues, is blanked out, like there isn't anything there. So it forces you to draw your attention away from the screen at the person who is actually asking you the clues and running the session. That's not the case for virtual, and that's what we're going to do. Session name, test 1, 2, 3, initialize the session. And it looks pretty much the same. So for an instructor-led session, the URL that we generated for the base game is going to be different because this is a single session that we're all going to log on to, right? So I'm going to copy that, and I'm actually going to open up the chat here, paste it in the chat, and anyone who wants to, I don't need all of you, but if you all want to, by all means, pile on. Click that link, and it'll open in a new browser window, and then you can plug in your information, and then I can, in real time, see here down for users who's logged in. So we'll give it a second. I need at least one person to help me out here so we can show how this looks. Did you guys get that link okay?
Oh, you know what, Jake? You sent it to only the panelists.
Oh, whoopsies. Well, let's not do that. Send to everyone. There you go. All right. So if you want to click on that link, like I said, it should open a new browser for you, and we can just run through a couple of Jeopardy clues, and you can see just how easy it is to do this. Our host, Mark, likes to say that he's not tech savvy and he's not even smart. He is an actor for a job, and he runs through this, runs these games, no problem. Great, look at that. I got Steph, I got Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I'm going to count to 5. Whoa, look at that. Vaselin is here. Sheila, Kristen, thank you so much. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we'll get started. Okay, cool. So look at this. Woo. All right. Well, I mean, you guys just want to play, right? You know, we could just play through. Perfect. So I got here 21 folks registered. So I'm going to click Start Game. Now, when I click this, I see this here, and this is what you all should be seeing as well. So I click Start Game. And you all should be hearing the Jeopardy music on the back end here. If you're on a big Zoom call together and you can hear things, I can quick mute that audio. And there's the board, right? So now, if you all want to try and click on the clues, nothing's going to happen. That's because I'm running the show. So the way we normally do this is totally up to you, is I usually just go to the first person who logged in and say, hey, you pick a category just like in the game. Stephanie, since you're the only one talking to me, take yourself off mute, please. And would you mind giving us a category and an amount? Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I feel so powerful right now. I'm going to go pop music for 600.
Let's do it. Starting big. I like it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on $600, and then we all get to see this clue. This French pop duo were right at home in their Tron Legacy cameos. Lots of people were wearing futuristic headgear. Now, and when we went through single player, it automatically, after so many seconds, went to the answers for us, right? Not in this case, because again, I'm running the show. So we can sit on the screen as long as I want and talk about how much we love this stuff, or maybe give some more information. And then I click this, show possible answers. Then the answers pop up on screen. Is it Gorillaz, Daft Punk, Deadmau5, or Eiffel 65? And look at this. I also in real time can see the clues come in, and I can go, yes, Rebecca, you got it first in 0 seconds flat. You must be a Daft Punk fan. I know I gave it away. Sorry, most of you seem to know this. Jordan is right behind and right on. Jamie, well done. Just gives you some more information to kind of engage the learners, make it a little game showy, and also just gives you real-time information on who got the clues right. So then nothing is shown until I go back here and click show correct answer. There it is. Correct. Here's our little bit of feedback. And then I click back to the board. Rebecca, you got that answer fastest, the quickest. I'm sorry, this is a webinar and you don't have your mic, so I'm going to pick something out of a hat. Check your calendar for 400. Let's go. You are this sign of the zodiac if your birthday falls between December 22nd and January 19th. Show possible answers. Is it Sagittarius, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Capricorn? Woo! Look at how quick those answers came in. Oh, you guys are crushing it. I honestly don't know the answer to this, and I wrote the dang quiz. So you can see per person, and then I can also see a summary up here of 23 people got it right, 3 got it wrong, and 6 people did not answer. That's a strategy. I don't know this one. I don't want to risk the points. Right on. So then I can show the correct answer. It's Capricorn. You are right. And then we're going to go back to the board. Now, I want you to bring your attention to one more thing about how you really can't screw up running one of these instructor leds. So we go back to the board and keep an eye on your screen, on my screen for a second. So let's go to magnets. I click on the clue. Look at the possible answers. See how it's blacked out? Like I can't possibly click it? That prevents me from accidentally clicking something and skipping through the clue to get to the answers, right? It happens. You just, it slips and you click on something. Plus, as much as you're reading along, or as much as I am speaking the clue, excuse me, you're probably reading along as well. And that gives you enough time to read the clue. And I can't possibly skip through that. Show possible answers. Look, there it is again. That gives me just enough time to say the answer. Wow, you guys are crushing this. This is one of our easier ones. We do this for fun, right? The correct answer is indeed computers. Show correct. It's blacked out again, so I can't accidentally click back to the board without giving a second to look through the feedback. Back to the board. Okay, 2 last things. For this instructor led, at any time, I can show the leaderboard if I want to. I can click that button, and it shows how everyone's doing. Like I said, you guys are crushing it. You guys know your answers. And then I can dismiss the leaderboard, back to the game. But you know what? Shoot, we're running out of time. We got to get moving along, and I don't have enough time to answer all these clues. So I just want to skip right ahead to Final Jeopardy, and I can do that. Skip to Final Jeopardy. You sure? Yes, I am sure. And then this allows us to show the last function, which maybe some of you were thinking of. Show the leaderboard one more time. What about the daily doubles? What about the wagering? That is included. We just happen to not run into it. So for Final Jeopardy, you are going to get the category first, like they do in the show. You just know the category. And then you all should see a little bar on your screen. So you take that bar, you can slide it along. Yes, you've already all figured it out. And I love that everyone's wagering everything. A true champion always makes it a true daily double, in my opinion. And then once I can see, look at that, we got 31 of 33 people who have given their wagers. I'm going to hide the wager. And then you all see the visual clue, that lovely little picture of Milan we looked at. And I, over here, get a little hint. This happens for any time you have a visual clue. You can go through as the instructor and remind yourself, maybe practice that pronunciation one more time. And then once we've given it enough time, show the clue text. Italy's financial capital, this second city of the nation is also the center of its fashion and publishing industries. This is a text input, so off you go. You guys get to type it in, and if you want to mess around and say things like the city of Milan or what have you, I know I'm giving you the answer, go ahead. No one's taking me up. Everyone just wanted to get that answer in real quick and type Milan. You all got it. We show the correct answer. There it is. I can't mess this up. It's all blacked out. Then we go back to the board. Congratulations. Let's see who won. Sheila, Kelly, and Jordan. Oh, look at that. We got a lot of winners. Okay, you are all winners today. The top 7s had the high scores. And that's running a Jeopardy game. It's really a piece of cake. You run through it once, and it's like the back of your hand. And then I'll just end the session for everyone. And then that information is captured and I can take a look at it, who got what correct at what time, et cetera, et cetera. There you go. Thanks for playing.
That was awesome, Jake. We do have one final question that I'll take before we go. So you've showed us how to share it via URL. Can you perhaps download it in other ways, such as a SCORM file, or can you download it and play it offline? What are the other delivery methods that we could do?
Oh, that is okay. So SCORM, yes, you can. All of our games are SCORM wrapped and packaged. And so any game up here, you will see the publish tab. You can just download it as such. There it is, lovely. I want to download in that edition. There it is as well. Here's the URL again. And if you also want to embed it into a game or into a LMS, or anything for that matter, I'm going to mess up you can do that as well. It auto-generates an iframe code. Now, playing offline, no, it does require a internet connection because this is not an app or something that you download. The Training Arcade is a web-based platform, so you do need an internet connection to play the game. However, that's all you need. If I had shared this out and someone was on mobile, through the Zoom link, just click that Zoom link as well, and you can just as easily play on your phone as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Those are all the questions we have right now. I know that you have some resources that you want me to share in the chat.
Yeah.
So I am posting the link to sign up for tomorrow's live Jeopardy. Get to hang out with Jake again and prove your knowledge to a bunch of other L&D professionals, whoever joins us. It's super fun. A nice little lunch break activity. And then let me see, Jake had some blog posts, and these will also be in the follow-up email with the recording. But these are the articles that Jake mentioned earlier in the session, some resources to help you. I just pasted the same link again. Really sign up for that Jeopardy game, guys.
Do it. It's fun. And we win gift cards and we have a group of regulars. It's just a good time. It really is, and a nice way to kind of end your week. So.
Yes. All right. Now we have the resources for building your Jeopardy games. And of course, as Jen mentioned also, we had a question about, do we offer training for building our games? And the answer is yes, we do. When you sign up and become a subscriber, we do offer some onboarding to help you make the best games possible. And hopefully, if I did it right, I've never attached a file in chat before, but now you have that Jeopardy template from Jake.
Which is this thing, just without all that information.
That he showed at the beginning.
Cool. The last link that Stephanie shared here, Conversation with the Writers of America's Favorite Quiz Show. I can highly recommend that. If you are as into Jeopardy and quiz philosophy and all that good stuff as I am, it's a really, really great read. They really get into some of the nitty gritty of just why Jeopardy is just so awesome at what they do. Thanks, everyone. This was a blast. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for playing some games with me, right? And like Stephanie said, any questions, feel free to contact us. And I hope to see some of you at our Friday games.
And let us know if you'd like to see a workshop on any other games in the Training Arcade.
Ooh, yeah.
Because Jake can do those as well.
Yes, we can.
Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you either tomorrow or on another webinar. And if not, have a great rest of your week.
Take care, everyone. Be well.